Welcome to the subject School Leadership and Management A. My name is Daniel Mbangula, and I will be your tutor and the facilitator for this course. I will take you through the course objectives and topics that need your attention in order for you to be able to pass this course. Of course, this is not a memo, but just, it's not a sort of giving you exactly what's coming in exam, but it's just a guideline that will guide you to help you out to tackle the subject issues. Then you will be able to pass it. So this is a 2021 presentation, and here are the issues that you need to make sure that you qualify, and you must do it properly so that you'll be able to pass the course. You need to obtain at least 50%, that's in your assignments, to be able to qualify for examination. And for you to qualify for examination, also you need to pass examination. In other words, you need to obtain at least 50% again in examination. Then you can be declared to have passed or to have mastered and met the requirement of the course that will allow you to pass it. You need also to make sure that the continuous assessment is just a kind of guide, or I think that's not a correct term. It's just a password that help you to enter the examination, but it does not mean even if you get 100% in SSCA marks, then automatically you have passed the course. No. So you still need to pass the examination in order for you to be declared to have passed the course. It's always important also to make sure that you know your study guide and you know the troublesome topics, so that you always make a constant contact with your tutor to ask those things that are not clear. Many people have tendency of waiting for examination to approach. Is when they are coming to ask a lot of questions and they are confused, of which sometimes even if you try to assist them here and there to explain certain issues, the confusion is already high and the anxiety is there because you are afraid of examination, and you know there are this troublesome topic that you did not master yet. So this issue is if you make it a tendency, then it will trap you in examination and you may not able to do your course well. So try to refrain from reading 1 week before exam or 2 weeks before exam. So as soon as you get your material and the recording, try to go through topics that are outlined here, that of the most importance, and the issue that are not clear, you can always consult the tutor. This presentation covers all 3 examinations. That's April, August, and the supplementary examination. Hence, there will be no other recording. This is the only recording that will cover all 3 examinations. For you, it's just to make sure that you cover all the topics. The bonus comes in if you write an April exam maybe and things did not go well. You already know that, okay, at least by August, this could be the next topics, or in supplementary, this could be the topics. But also, mind you, the supplementary also might cover some topic that were already in April or in August, because you might still find 1 or 2 questions that were in April or in August. So you must know that one from the onset. We are starting with the topics that you need to pay attention to that will enable you to make sure that you pass this course. The first topic of importance is characteristic of schools with poor culture of teaching and learning. When we talk about characteristic of school with poor culture of teaching and learning, we are looking at the issues that are not used, that make the school environment not a friendly environment for the learning to take place. For example, if the school, there's no order, there's always noise, there's no way learners will be able to concentrate, and that will disrupt their learning. If the school buildings and the classrooms are highly vandalized and the windows are broken down and everything is just not in order, that can also cause learning not to take place, because learning does not take place in an unorganized environment or untidy environment. For example, if there is a lot of fighting in the school, also, there is no way learning can take place. There is a lot of bullying in the school, there is no way the learning can take place. There's a lot of drug abuse in the school. There's no way the learners will concentrate on the learning. Instead, they will concentrate on those issues that is replacing the learning, because those issues becomes the center of attention for the learners. So therefore, those are the characteristics that show that the school, there's poor culture of teaching and learning. Furthermore, then you have to look at how principal and staff create culture of teaching and learning. Of course, as a school, you are obliged to make sure that you create a conducive environment and a culture of teaching and learning by making sure that you define and communicating the clear vision of the school. You must tell the learners and the staff, what do you want to achieve? That becomes your vision, because you are saying, okay, from here we want to get there, or we want to get this. And there must be also clear objective and goals. If learners knows that, okay, we are here because of ABC, and for me to go to the next grade or to be a very serious learner, I must be able to pass this course that I'm enrolled with. So those are the clear objectives. And also making sure that by defining these clear objectives and goals, the school must also make sure that, as a principal also, must make sure that it's working closely with the subject teachers to see to it that teachers are also making sure that those subject goals and objectives are met, by making sure they teach well, they give clear instruction to the learners, so that learners can also achieve those goals. So that's it for that topic. And to add on, how the Ministry of Education can contribute toward creating culture of teaching and learning. Remember, the Ministry of Education is custodians of making sure that there is enough money. That's why we talk of the budgeting, to buy textbooks. So some of the subject, you just try to contextualize it in such a way that you put it in your own way, then you understand what we are talking about here. Because the ministry here, the role that is being played by the ministry here is to make sure that the fund is enough to pay for teachers' salaries. If the teachers are not well paid, of course they will not also teach well. If teachers' salaries are being delayed, that's where budgeting comes in. The teachers will be demotivated, and they will come to school whenever they feel like, because you can't work on an empty stomach. Not only that, you cannot just have 2 books and you are teaching 30 learners. No way. You need to have enough materials. so that each learner, maybe the ratio of 2 learners per book, that can also be better. But if it's 10 learners per 1 book, that will not allow the teaching and learning to take place. And all these issues will promote the culture of teaching and learning, because, of course, if there's enough resources at school, and the issue of budgeting is also to do with the construction of the new classrooms, etc., etc. All these things are contributing to better teaching and learning, because there is enough material, there is enough facilities, there is also good motivation from the ministry as a custodian of that spearhead the implementation of the ministerial policies by the teachers and the learners. We are moving to Unit 2. Unit 2, there are certain topics also that needs your attention. The first one is dimensions of school climate that promote learning. Dimensions here, we are talking about different things within the school environment that can help learning to take place. For example, if in the school people are always fighting, or anyone from the location can enter the school and start beating up the learner or stealing the learner's things, or beating up the teachers, there's no safety. There's no way learning will take place, because everyone is in fear. And also respectfulness. When there's, remember, as a teacher, you don't just go there and start boasting about the learners because you think you are a teacher. You can just insult the learner as you wish, or you can just beat the learners as you wish. You must also respect the learners, and the moment you respect the learners, everything will fall into place, because everyone will feel like, yes, I'm respected. Or because you are a principal and you think you can just come and push or pull teachers left and right because you think you are the boss there, that will also make teachers not to be motivated to talk to their learners in a kind manner. They will also be demotivated. And if their teachers are not teaching well, there's no way learning will take place, because learners will also see to it that, no, this teacher is not really doing what he's supposed to do. So this issue of safety and respectfulness is not only to do with the learners, it's also to do with the staff, your colleagues as a teacher. You must make sure that there's no gossip at school, because you will not feel comfortable. You must also be able to define the community culture. What do we mean by community culture? So those are the norms the community are abiding to make sure that if you are from certain designated community, then you say, okay, in this community, this is what we do, this is not allowed. Those are the culture we are talking about. Because culture is just to do with the norms and values within the given community. To say, okay, here we don't steal, here we don't insult, here we don't beat people unnecessary. So those are the community cultures. In terms of the school, a school also have its own culture. For example, if you say, no, we want to be among the top 10 school, that becomes your culture, because you always make sure that we teach according to the principles of teaching. Make sure that you are on time to go to class, and learners are provided with enough resources. That becomes your culture, because everyone become more serious, and that becomes a practice of everyone. Then we look at the factors influencing the development of its culture. These are the school age can impact cultural change. So these factors are still aligned to the school culture. We are saying the factor that influencing the development of its culture, the culture is a community culture or the school culture, because school is also a community. Because some people, when we talk about community, they think community is just the village. No. Community is a place where different people lives, and those people do certain things that define their community. Then you know, okay, people from this community behave like this. So now here, the factors that are influencing the development of its culture, these are the school age, which can impact cultural change. Intensification of leadership can also influence the cultural change of the organization. For example, the school culture can be changed by the school leadership. If the school principal is very serious, of course the culture of the school will change towards good teaching and learning. Yeah, those are the things that we are talking about here. So you must understand it from that perspective. Then we move on to different types of cultures that exist in the school or community. Different types of culture we have here. We have the societal or national culture, or toxic and fragmented cultures, or of course there are a lot. Here I only listed a few. So this culture we are trying to we depicted here is that in a community you will find people doing things differently. That's what we mean by that. You find that a country is saying, no, we must do this, that becomes a national culture. Then you have people from different ethnic group in the society who will say, no, us, we do this because it's good for us. That becomes a societal culture. Then you have a toxic culture. The toxic culture is those culture of doing certain things which other people may not be happy about, yet you continue doing it. Maybe culture of fighting, culture of stealing, culture of gossiping. That becomes a toxic culture, but it's not a nice one. Then you have a fragmented cultures. So all those are different types of cultures that exist in our society or communities. Furthermore, we look at factors needed for positive school climate. Factors needed for positive school climate. Of course, a school as an environment, there must be also certain factor that promote good climate. Climate, you know, is just like a condition which exists in the school. These are academic achievement and leadership. If the schools start doing well, that becomes the climate of the school, and in essence, by having a good leadership in place, of course, that will create a good climate, which will now influence all other things that are happening in the school. So those are the factors that is needed for positive school climate. So if everyone does not care to finish the syllabus, and if the school principal does not really care what's happening in the school by making sure that he's inspecting what's going on, then the school will be in a mess, and there won't be really good positive climate in the school, because everything will not be really working according to the plan. We are galloping to Unit 3. I hope so far everyone is following in this. I'm not too fast, I'm not too slow. The Unit 3, these are the topics that need your attention. Steps to problem solving to solve conflicts. Steps to problem solving that lead to solving of the conflict, such as describing the problem. Realize that the person you are in conflict with does not think the same way that you do. So the steps of problem solving here, we are looking at how do we solve issues among ourselves. The first thing, you must find out what is really the problem. That's in a simple terms. And you must also put in cognition that it does not mean that when you see that there's a problem, the other person can see that it's also a problem. The other person might see it normal to do certain things as they unfold among yourself. But then you will feel comfortable and you think this is not good. So you must make sure that you let the other person also to know that, okay, this is not good because of ABC. But if you assume everyone think the same way as you are, that's wrong. And you must also know that certain things can exist. Before you say this is not good, other person will not see that that's a problem. So that's in simple terms what we mean by that. Of course, there are the list goes on how you unfold the steps involved in solving the problem and leading to the alleviation of those conflicts that exist among ourselves. Then you must also be able to define what is optional level of conflict. You must be able to have a good definition of that terminology as to what we mean by optional level of conflict. In your book, it's well explained and clear examples given to that. Moreover, also know how functional conflict and how it works towards the goals of organizations, and also, for example, group can have a respect and functional conflict and are constructive. It also supports your company's goals. When we talk about functional conflict and how it works towards the goals of organization, here we are talking about this functional conflict is the one that assists the company to solve issues, and eventually you work together to achieve the organizational goals. Because this functional conflict is just helping you to solve those issues that might hinder you to make sure that things are working in a constructive manner, if you wish to put it that way. And we are also looking at types of conflict that occurs in the school. There are different conflicts that exist in the school because of different reasons and because of the different needs of people. Sometimes we may have a problem of data conflict. We may have a problem of relationship conflict. Certain people are not friendly with the other groups. Certain people feel the certain group does not support their ideological perspective. and intra-organizational conflict. Also, there are other conflict that can also occur because people have different views, and they have different opinions, and they will start fighting over certain resources within the school. So that's a simple approach to these types of conflict. But then, with the assistance of your study guide, you will see that there are a lot types of conflict that occurs in our schools, besides the one that I listed here. We are moving to Unit 4. Unit 4, you must know different systematic steps to manage change within the organizations. It's discovered by the management gurus like John Cotters. Different systematic steps to manage change within the organizations. Here we talk about you must diagnose the problem that exists in the school so that you can bring the change that you want. Why certain organization does not change? The problem is there, and nobody's really seeing that we have a problem. You will go to school and you will realize that certain senior people in that school will tell you, no, we have been here and we have been doing this, without knowing that you have been there in the school, but the school has not been performing. And that's the problem that you need to diagnose there. And also creating the agents. Creating the agents there, that means you must make sure that you create the opportunity for you to bring that change that you want. Otherwise, if you don't see the agents of change the situation, of changing the situation, then the problem will keep on persisting. So that's all about the systematic steps to manage change within the organization. That's according to that John Cotter. But mind you, there are also other gurus who have their own say on how to manage changes within the organization. But for the sake of this presentation and for your examination, we'll only focus on this guy, John. Then we look at the school conditions to change. School conditions conducive to change. Changes is we can't do without change, because we cannot be static in our life. As we try to improve the situations within our organization, within our schools, there must be certain conditions that we need to meet. For example, potential for change and leadership should be firm. Don't rush things. We must always make sure that there's a purposeful, participative approach to the change. So purposeful with the participative approach, then in that case, no problem for change takes place because there is a good leader. In other words, the purposeful with a participative approach to each situation that is happening or unfolding in the school, You must make sure that you allow other people's opinions to come in, so that you can say, okay, there is this problem in our school. What do we do, colleagues? Then everyone comes in. Those are the conducive conditions which can help you to change things in the school, because you are allowing everyone to give his or her opinion, what he or she feels need to be done. In an event when you think you are the only one who have a good offer, that will not help the change to take place. And that will not be making the conducive environment for everyone to participate and give their own views. And when the change comes, they feel, yes, it's us who suggested this change. That is it for Unit 4. We move to Unit 5. Unit 5, there are 1, 2, 3 topics that needs your attention. First, you must be able to define the term stress and symptoms of organizational stress. The signs of organizational stress include things like dispute and dissatisfaction within groups and ineffective working environment. The moment you see people quarreling and not cooperating, and they are not satisfied with what is happening in their designated group within the organization, then you know people are stressed. They can argue on a petty issues because mentally they are not happy. Those are the things that you can look out, that I think something somewhere is wrong in this organization, because I was just asking for this and the person start already yelling at me. And you will realize that people will not even work effectively towards the goal set or objective of the organization. Not only that, we must also look at what are the common stressors then in the school or in our organizations. The things that can cause people to be stressed. The stressors are just the things that can cause people to be stressed. Because the stressor here, we are looking at things that can cause you not to be happy with what is happening. Maybe the issue of salary cut, because the ministerial budget allocation is being cut, and now there's not enough money to pay for your salaries as a teacher, and there's not enough money to pay or to buy the what? The needed materials, the so-called the what? How do you call it? The textbooks, all the necessary material that can help education to take place. Also, the issues of poor classroom working conditions. You are working under the shade. How will you be happy? The class is falling apart, and every time you are teaching there, you are afraid the wall may collapse. So those are all stressors in the schools. Maybe the issue of maybe fighting among the learners. It can also stress you, because every now and then you have to solve problems, and the list is long. So with this few examples I've given here, and you complement it with the other information in your guide, I hope this is enough for now. Then we go to Unit 6. Unit 6, we are focusing on features that make school to be called an organization. School is also an organization like any other organization. Why? Because any other formal organization, school has an assigned hierarchy. There's a principal, there's an HOD, there's a teacher, there's a there are subject heads. Then the list goes on to the learners. You have learners representative, the class rep. Those are the hierarchies that we are talking about. That makes a school organization because there's a proper leadership structure. That's what we are trying to say here. That assigned hierarchy is just about leadership structure, because any organization has a very formal leadership structure in place. At the apex is the principal. In other words, at the top, there must be a principal. Below are few supervisors. Under each supervisor are a number of teachers, and under teachers a large body of learners. That I addressed it already. That the hierarchy goes like that, from principal down to the last person. To the cleaners, to the matron, if it's a boarding school. Then you have all people who are assigned to perform certain tasks within the school. And somebody should be the head, or somebody should be guiding others. That's an hierarchy that we are talking about there. That makes the school also an organization, because any other formal organization, there's proper structure. Hence, the school also fall under a formal organization. Visions and goals refers to the recognition of commitment to a coherent and agreed upon sense of direction that is forged and reforged to guide school everyday actions. All those things are making the school to be a formal organization, because there's a vision and there are also goals which are referred to the recognition and commitment to coherent and agreed upon sense of direction, because those goals, they help you to focus on certain path, because you are saying we want to do this. Then that is showing you where you are going, in short. Then we are looking at the value of Ubuntu for educational leaders. Ubuntu principle look at the issue of working together, the harmonious, the friendliness, the innovation. You must bring in new ideas that help you to go ahead, to move ahead. Finding new ways of solving problems. We don't just fight because there's a problem. We must find new ways of solving problems. Because sometimes, for certain reason, people thought to solve problems is just by fighting each other, because you have a blame games. No, it's you who brought this issue. Now, the value of Ubuntu stipulate that we must find new ways of solving problem without fighting among ourselves. Those are spirit of Ubuntu. And we must also find friendliness among ourselves and harmonious, togetherness among ourselves. Need and focus of education management, such as education management, ensures school effectiveness. The need and focus of education management. So the need and focus of educational management is mainly to do with educational management and ensure school effectiveness. The focus of educational management is to make sure that the school is managed effectively, and issues within the school are dealt with effectively in a proper manner. It improves planning, it improves planning, organizing, and implementing institutions, and there is an increasing recognition that school requires effective leaders. All those are issues of focus of educational management. Because if there's educational management, there's a proper planning, because you are managing all the issues that are happening. The implementing an institutional, the implementing of institutions, goals and objectives, and there's also increasing recognitions that schools require effective leaders. So we must not just promote people because of favoritism, but we must promote people who are able to do things right. So Unit 7, relationship between policies, procedures, and rules. Here we look at the procedures is a systematic direction through which one can follow the things to do, a right path and policy guide decision making, while procedures drives actions. Then we look at the components of planning. School considers this component of planning. We look at the confirmation of the school ethos, and we look at the school cultures. We look at the aims and monitoring of evaluation. Then we go to Unit 8, relationship. Relationship between problem solving and decision making. The relationship between decision making and problem solving is stronger, because both are attempts to make an organization work more effectively. That is the relationship that exists there. And how to make effective decision in groups. There must be a consensus decision making which tries to avoid win and loss. There must be a win-win situation. So consensus requires that a majority approve a given course of action, but that the minority agree to go along with others. That's a win-win situation that I'm talking about. And also types and styles of problem solving, such as analysis of the problems, the identification of the component of situation, and the consideration of the relationship among the parts. Then we look at Unit 9, importance of organizing as a management task. It helps to achieve organizational goals. That's organizing. Organizing is also used to achieve the overall objective of the business firms. Organizing focuses attention of individual to objectives toward overall objectives. And also, you must also know what we mean by coordination. You must know that term. Then we must also learn basic principle of organizing, such as principle of specialization. According to this principle, the whole work of concern should be divided amongst the subordinate on the basis of qualifications, ability, and skills. You cannot just assign people things that they cannot do, or they did not qualify for. It's also through division of work specialization can be achieved, which result in effective organization. Principle of effective delegation, for example, determine what you will delegate. You don't just give people and you don't tell what you are going to give them to do. Effective delegation begins with defining your responsibility. Write down all your activities and responsibilities. Relationship of authority and responsibility and accountability. For example, authority is a manager's formal and legitimate right to make decision issues, orders, and allocate resources to achieve organizational desired outcome. That's a very straightforward issue. Then we look at Unit 10, leadership skills. Leadership, rather, it's not skills, but rather styles. Here we look at the autocratic, democratic, in the rise of fair, etc., etc. Then you give differences. But the focus will be on autocratic and democratic. Motivation, guidelines for school leaders, such as harmonize and match the subordinate needs with the organizational needs. As a leader, the executive must ensure that the business has the same moral and ethics that he or she seeks in his or her employees. That's the motivation that you are looking there. Types of power of leaders. We have coercive powers. Coercive power is the most primitive type of power in the workplace. Coercive power exists when the person is in authority threaten a subordinate with some type of punishment if if a certain duty or activity is not completed or performed correctly. Then we look at also characteristic of rhizosphere leadership style. You must also look at that type of leadership style. Remember, we have other types of leadership that we have talked earlier. So we are also bringing in the rhizosphere as a focus point or focal point that you must also look at, and you match it also with the rest. And know the meaning of motivation. You must know how to define what is motivation within our organization, and like schools. That's all about the Unit 10, which was our last unit. And I hope where I did not make things clear, you'll be at liberty of consulting me and explain more with the use of your study guide. Then I'll be able to help you without hesitation. Thank you very much.